Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Categorically Romance podcast. My name is Bree, and I am joined by one of my favorite people to talk to. Author Nan Reinhardt is back. Welcome back, Nan.
Thanks, Bree. It's really fun to be here with you today.
Well, you kind of alluded to it a little bit before we hit record, and of course, I'm always on your website. 2023. I know it's been a little busy for you, but tell us how it's been. What's been going on?
It has just been a wild ride. And I turned 70 this year. We celebrated our 50th anniversary this year. I went to Hawaii with my son, just the two of us. He was on business and I was there just tagging along. And I went to California for a Tule author retreat. And then right after that, I had a little family reunion with my sister and brother in LA. It's just been crazy. In addition to which, I've released 3 books and I'm working and I'm writing 2 more right now. And I've got 2 more after that and maybe 3. So I am, and I'm also editing. So it's just been like, wow, you know?
You're amazing. Oh, you're amazing.
I don't know about that.
Well, okay, let's start with turning 70. So how did that feel? And how does it feel to see 70?
Old. I mean,
Crazy, Nan.
seriously, it was a tough birthday for me because it just, 70. And interestingly, of all my friends at the lake, I'm the youngest.
Mhm.
Well, I was until this new friend came along. But anyway, and so, all my good friends are well into their 70s and doing fabulous. And I'm just like, I just felt like, wow. But on the upside of this, I never believed I'd make it to 70. So the fact that I'm here is like, wow, great, wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I turned 37 on the 11th of this month.
I'm
So
trying to feel sorry for you.
if you could go back to you in your 30s, what would you say? Because I've been going through it the last couple months. That's why I'm just so happy to be talking to you today because it's always such a bright spot. But you in your 30s, what would you tell her? What would you tell that version of you?
Knowing what I know now,
Yeah.
chill out, baby. I mean, seriously, I just took life so seriously in my 30s, and I shouldn't have. I should have been more relaxed. I should have had more fun, and I didn't. So now I'm having all my fun now.
Why do you think we are okay, 20s, you're just kind of still a baby, but you're an adult and you're like, oh my gosh, and I'm an adult. What
Yes.
is it about the 30s that we're just so serious and freaking out about life?
I don't know. 30s and 40s. My kid's in his 40s, and he's the same way. He's just like, he's got to get everything done, So I just think that we're seeing that life is passing, and and we just think, well, we've got to do this, we've got to do this, we've got to do this. I had been writing since I was 10, and I had manuscripts, tucked under the bed and that kind of thing. But even in my 30s, I was still so focused on raising my son and that kind of thing, and being a great mom and being a great editor that I never really let myself be in the little fantasy world that I love so much now. And I wish I had, I wish I had chilled out and just enjoyed each day instead of looking ahead. What's next? What's next? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would never want to go back and do my 20s again. I just think that they were a disaster. But I
No.
do think it's something. I think maybe we have this assumption or the expectation that okay, in your 30s you have to get your shit together.
Yes.
And so you're just so serious all the time. And I just I don't know, it was just something about I love getting older. And so when my birthday came, I was like, okay, girl, you need to do something different this year. You cannot be a big stress ball. But I don't know. I think I just kind of grew up with this assumption that okay, in your 30s, you have to start being serious.
No, you don't. Take
Thank
it from 40 years ahead. No, you don't. No, you don't.
So tell me about the author retreat. I love seeing all the photos. How did that go?
We had a ball. It was so wonderful. And I got to room with Carol Light, who's a new mystery writer for Tule. And she was just delightful. I had so much fun with her. We're just immediately connected and kindred spirits. And it was so wonderful to make a special new friend. But it was also wonderful to meet all these authors that I've been editing for the last 3 years and getting to know them, and also editing and, of course, reading their books. And it's just like they are just like a huge connected family, and it was such a warm and wonderful 4 days. I just
Yeah.
had a ball. I just had a ball. And Jane Porter, Jane Porter is so amazing. I was fangirling for 4 days, which was
I
sort of a treat.
know.
So
I would die. Shout out to Miss Jane P if she ever listens to this. I love her.
she is wonderful, just amazing, and just
I love all
such a
these
dynamo.
adventures you're going on, Nan. I love all these adventures.
Hey, the best one was our 50th anniversary. We
Okay.
we spent it in a vineyard in Oregon.
Oh my
And oh
gosh.
my goodness, it was romantic and wonderful. And my darling editor Sinclair Sane and her husband Deepak own this vineyard in Oregon in the Willamette Valley, and she extended an invitation for us to come there for our anniversary. And I said to husband, "Okay, here are the choices. We can have a big party at the clubhouse in the neighborhood and invite all our friends and family, or we can go to Oregon and spend 5 days in a vineyard. What do you think?" It was like no contest. He was like, "Buy the plane tickets." So we
I'm
went out
packing
there.
my
We had
bags
a
already.
really, we had a ball, and he just had the time of his life. It's the first time he had really traveled since before COVID, since our kid moved back to Indiana, which was like 2018. And so it was, but the trip was a breeze, and Sinclair and Deepak were wonderful, and we had some wonderful wine and great food and just a wonderful time. It was fabulous. Best way to celebrate 50 years of marriage.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know what it is like. I mean, now that you've been like when I think of I want a getaway. I don't know what it is about Oregon. I think maybe it's like the Pinterest pictures, but I'm always like it would have to be Oregon. It just looks so peaceful.
It is gorgeous. It's just gorgeous and beautiful. And we really didn't do a lot. We went to some wineries and tasted a lot of wine, and we went over by the ocean and saw the water. And but we really just sort of hung out together. And I wrote in the mornings with Sinclair. She and I got up early and wrote. But other than that, I did not work, and it
Yeah.
was really nice just to spend time with him because even though he's retired and he's here all the time, we don't see that much of each other because I'm here in my office working and he's out, doing stuff.
Manly
And so
stuff.
manly things, the manly house stuff. And so, and even at the lake, he's doing stuff there and I'm working or writing. So, because I just, pick up my act and take it on the road in the summer. So it was fun just to be together, just the two of us for 5 whole days.
Well, I was going to ask like was there any romance novel inspiration while you were there? But now I know you were working, so
It was really just a lovely. He's a very romantic guy, and it was just a nice time. We had a great time.
yeah.
I'm glad I'm still married to him.
Yeah, when I think of going, I'm like, I just want to go and like you said, chill out, baby. I just want to go to Oregon and get a cabin and chill. Like I don't really want to go see anything. I just
That
want
is,
to
I
go.
recommend it. I do.
Let's talk about you have two books. You have, part of the Weavers Sisters series, Meet Me in River's Edge, and then Christmas in River's Edge, which I have been saving for this week. It's my first Thanksgiving break off as a teacher. And I'm like, I am going to hide out and just catch up on reading this week. And Meet Me in River's Edge, not Meet Me in, yeah, Meet Me in River's Edge. It feels so weird saying that one because I think that would be the first book in the series, but it's like, no, that one was Home to River's Edge. But
Yes.
Meet Me in River's Edge, it's been tricky reading since I started back working. Like I have time, but it's like by the time I get off work, I'm just so overstimulated and exhausted. And I picked up Joe and Alex's romance. And I was just like, oh my gosh, it just was a reminder of like why I still need to make time for reading. It just reminded me of like why I love romance. And I told you, I was like, I have all the feels. And that was it. It was just like, it felt like coming home. It feels like I live in River's Edge.
I love that you feel that way, Bree. I
I
really do.
do. I do. And like, your dialogue between your characters, the sisterly relationship, the scenes with the dad, him and Alex, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this. So let's start there, and then I want you to tell us what we can expect in Christmas in River's Edge. But tell me about writing Joe and Alex and their romance. How did it come to you?
Well, I wanted to have a hero who was a little bit different. And um, Alex's type 1 diabetes made him a little different. And Joe is very protective of her heart because of the terrible thing that happened to her when she was a teenager.
Mhm.
And so, and she always goes for older men because they feel safe, and they're usually people who are inaccessible. That's, she doesn't want anybody that could actually fall in love with her too.
Yeah, and she says
And
that. She says that.
yeah, she owns it. She owns it. And when she meets Alex, he's this young punk, arrogant guy who's like about 5 years younger than her, and that's who she sees. And he really has to get into her heart. It's not, she doesn't like automatically fall in love with him. He automatically just falls head over heels for her because she's real different from all the girls that he knew. And so it was really fun to write Joe's reluctance to be involved with him, and just I know I wrote it, but just kind of watching her fall for this guy against her will.
Yeah. Well, you
So
say fall for, and he literally falls into her life.
yeah,
So,
yes,
I'm always talking to you about the meet cutes.
you
How
do
did we
love
get
those.
that? How did we get that? Like
I
another Nan Reinhardt winner.
that is something I would do. I would trip over a guy wire on a tent and fall into it. I mean, I'm such a putz. And so I thought, how can I bring this guy into her life in a way that will make her never forget him? And falling on her and getting caught in her dress just seemed like such a cool way to do it. So,
I don't know if I've ever asked you this, but I do feel like you are the queen of meet cutes in my book. Like everyone has been unforgettable. So like aspiring writer that's listening, give them the Nan Reinhardt, no bullshit, writing a meet cute. How do we get it right? How do we make it not forgettable?
I I think it has to be funny. I
I
really
do
do.
too.
I think, think of the least likely thing that could happen and make it happen.
Yeah.
That's what I've really kind of done with all of them. What would make me, if I were the the female in the story, what would make me really notice this guy? So, and I think, go ahead and don't be afraid to be outrageously funny. I know people think that you shouldn't overwrite something, but I think when it's a meet cute, you can't really. Just get crazy and it'll work. It's going to get edited anyway, so
Yeah.
get happy.
Get happy.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
go for it.
yeah. Just go for it.
And I mean, in their scene, it's like, I don't think I've ever read one of yours that felt ridiculous. It's like this could, even the driving on the wrong side of the road, meet cute, getting stopped by the cop, just like, I could totally see that happen. So, like, they're all really realistic, but they're just so hilarious how I think because I've talked to you and I can like I imagine you reading it to me which just like adds to the experience. But yeah, they're so unforgettable. And when I read that one, I was like, she's done it again. Like every time I'm like, she's not gonna outdo herself again. Like the next one is not gonna be as funny as this one. And then I read the next book and it is. So yeah, I loved it. Um
I hate to tell you this, but Christmas and River's Edge, they've already met.
so is it like a re-meet cute?
I don't think it's quite as adorable as Joe and Alex, but
But
it's
it's Jennifer and Gabe, and I was
it's Jennifer and
wondering,
Gabe. Yeah.
I was like, okay, what's gonna happen here? Because I kind of fell in love with Gabe in
Oh man,
Baby in
Gabe
Riverside.
is Gabe is like one of my all-time favorite characters. He's just, oh, he's so cool.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so were you nervous with writing them meeting then since they've already met and like you do the meet cute so well? Like, is that pressure on you?
Well, I don't. It's so funny because I've had you and other people talk about my meet cutes and how much I love them, and I really don't start out writing a book thinking, "Man, I really hope that Bree loves this meet cute." Not to take away from your own personal charm or anything, but it's not. That's not what's in my head. But I want people to immediately be in the story.
Yes, yeah.
And so, that's how when I write the first scenes, that's what I want to have happen. I want them to be right there in the story. And a lot of times a meet cute is the best way to make that happen. In Christmas in River's Edge, it's a family thing in the beginning. And so, you're right there with the girls. So
That makes
anyway.
sense because with Meet Me in River's Edge, we're at the party that they were kind of gearing up for in the previous book. And I felt
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I think that's why that coming home feeling hit me so hard because I was like, I know about this reunion. Like I was part of the
I
crew.
was
We
part
were
of the
prepping for
planning.
this.
Yes. I was there at that meeting where they planned it all.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for people, but like Ariana, I loved the moments of Alex and his sister. And you gave both of them I'm trying not to like get emotional, but like you gave both of them some real deep backstories. Um how did Alex and Ariana, how did that happen?
Um, it happened because of my own sister and my friend Dee, who I feel with me all the time, even though they are not with me. I felt like Alex, being a twin, would have a special connection to his sister. And so I wanted that connection to be there. And it's so, it had to be magical because that was the only way we could do it. And I wasn't sure whether putting a little magic into that book was going to be a good idea or not. But once it was all done, and my editor was like, "Wow, yeah, yeah, this totally works," I was so thrilled because I was a little afraid she would say to me, "Not in the category romance," but so much of who he is comes from his relationship with her, with his sister, and so, just like so much of who Joe is, comes from her relationship with her sisters. And so he and Joe had that connection, that multiple birth partners or whatever you call it, siblings connection. And so it was, I just thought, let's try the magic and see if it works. And it did. I was so thrilled.
Yeah. And I think like it's magic, but I think for anyone that's lost someone, I think if you pay attention sometimes, you have those moments where you're like, are you here?"
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
like
Absolutely.
yeah, like I'll be on
Absolutely.
walks and I'm like, okay, I feel like, I've lost both of my grandfathers and
Hmm.
most recently my paternal grandmother. And I'm just like, I have those moments where I'm like, I am not alone. And I know you're here. So, like, to me, it didn't even necessarily
Yes.
read as magic. It's just like him feeling his sister. She's there.
Yeah.
She's letting him know, like, don't be an idiot. Go for the
Yes.
girl.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And the end scene in the when he and Rich are on the boat and they're going to be passing, and then all of a sudden the radio starts working,
Yeah.
and he
Oh,
realizes I've got to go, and so that was just a little bit of magic, and I had a good time with it. I really did. So
I did not expect her backstory. I did not expect that. I don't know why. I loved it, but I was like, I was not expecting this, but it just made everything make sense for her.
oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah. Oh, it did because I was like, "What's her deal? What's her deal?" Like you fall in love with her, but you're like, "What's her deal? Why is she into these like older, not necessarily emotionally unattached, but like just going to be unattached men?" And then you gave us that backstory, and I was like, "Oh, I get this. That was perfect for her."
Thank you. It's so funny because that's the thing that my editor always says to me when she reads my first draft. She's always like, "Okay, you did it again." I'm reading along, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden there's this thing that happens, and I'm like, "Dang it! Yes, yes." It's like, well,
Yeah.
good. If I can keep doing that, we're going to be in good shape, aren't we?
Because you wanna understand her, like, she calls Alex a river rat, like,
Mm-hmm.
for most of the beginning of the book, and you're like, "What's her deal?" But also you're like, "Okay, she lives in this small town on the river, it's probably a thing," like, people, going up and down the river, it probably is somewhat annoying to people who live in those communities, but then when you give us that backstory, it's like, "Oh, it just clicks. It just
Yeah,
clicks."
yeah. Oh, I'm so
Was
glad.
that, like, easy? Like, did that come to you easily, or did you struggle with it, or what?
Well, I knew when I started writing Joe that she was going to have a background that was a little different than her sisters. Although, Jazz came from that terrible situation in Washington, and in Christmas in River's Edge, Jenny is divorced. And so there's a lot going on with her and her past life. But Jo didn't really have a past particularly in the first book, and I just thought she needs some reason to be the kind of, I don't want to say sarcastic, but she's a little cynical. She's the sister who's, this is where I am and this is my job and this is my home, and and I'm not changing for anybody kind of, person. And I thought she needs a reason to be looking down on these guys in their yachts, and not just because they have money, because that would be silly. So I thought, well, let's give her a really good reason.
Mm,
So we
and you
did.
did. And you did.
So
And you did. Christmas in River's Edge. So that's Jennifer's book.
yeah,
I'm assuming, is that it for this series? Like,
that is it for this series.
how does it
However,
feel? Okay,
it
however, dot,
well,
dot, dot.
it felt really good to get this last book out, and in the Weaver sisters, and for all of them to have a story, and people are really loving it, and I'm so thrilled about that. But Eli, in the first book, Eli
Mhm.
Walker has a family, and I've written book one in the Walker family, and I'm working on book two. I'm almost done with it, and then there'll be two more. So Jack Walker, remember Jack from, he
Yep.
was kind of the tough guy. His is the first story, and it's all done, and you can actually pre-order it. And then right now I'm working on Joey's story, and he's the landscaper for Walker Construction. And then the next one coming up will be Cameron's story, and the he's the finish carpenter, and he's really a furniture maker. That's what he does. But he does also the finish work in the houses that they build. And then the last one is Annabelle, who's the architect for Walker Construction. And so all four of them have a story. And there is just a little tiny secret. There is a chance that I may be writing another series after this one in River's Edge with the Dykeman family who own the orchard. So right now we're at 10 books in River's Edge, and it'll be 14 with the Walkers, and then 18 if I get to do the Dykemans. We haven't made. I mean, we've talked about it, but we haven't made any real big decisions about that yet. So, but as long as Tule will let me stay in River's Edge, I will be there.
Yeah, what are you enjoying or what are you loving about staying in River's Edge, creative wise?
It's just so much fun to bring all these secondary characters into the books and to build the town out. It isn't, things are happening in this town. It's, the back in the very first series, the old cotton mill got turned into a hotel, and people, and now with the Walker Construction, they're building houses in the town, and the town is growing. And in the book I'm working on right now, the town nursery and garden center plays a big part. And so I'm just having fun creating this town. I love Nan's World. It's this wonderful little fantasy place I've lived in since I was, old enough to read. And so it's so cool to be there, and just to, bring Mac in, and everybody goes to Mac's for lunch and or dinner, and or go to the pizza place or walk on the river walk. It's just so much fun. It's a cool
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. I think what you're doing is like really special because I feel like you'll see romance series where it may be, maybe 6, 7 books in a town and you fall in love with it and then you stop getting books. And you'll hear authors say like, "Oh, I'm not done with that. I could return to that series at any time." But like you don't see the books coming, so you just have that feeling that it's over. But I love that like we are still in River's Edge. It may be a totally new family, quote unquote new series, but we are still in River's Edge. So for like, I'm trying to figure out how do you is it like, and this may be like bringing in new families, but like how do you keep it fresh for yourself? If that makes sense.
Um, it, well, just I think that as new characters come into old stories, I think, oh wow, that they could have a story, you know, or like in the first Walker book, the Dykemans are. I mean, the Dykemans have been in every book so far. They own the orchard, and so, and Justin Dykman has that carriage that he drives around town, and so I keep thinking, is anybody really going to believe there's this many single people in this town? But on the other hand, why not?
Why not?
50% of marriages get divorced. So,
Yeah.
why not? Why not?
There are single people.
Right. And I'm bringing people in for them, but it's just I don't know. I just get excited, and I always say, there's people in a line in my head, and they're all waving their hands, saying, "I'm next. I'm next." Um, so I just am trying to do it. I am so thrilled that people like River's Edge and want to come back. So,
It really does. It feels like home. Like once you're in that series, you just feel like you're part of one of the
oh,
townspeople. Like
that's so
I
wonderful.
feel like I live in River's Edge. Okay, if River's Edge has like a sixth grade English teacher position open, I'm your girl.
Fabulous. I don't see why that couldn't happen, to tell you the truth.
um, has there been, with all the writing that you've been doing set in River's Edge, has there been what's been your favorite moment? What would you say?
Wow. Um, so many favorite moments. I think one of my very favorite moments was with Brendan and Tierney in the baby contract, because it was so much fun to write him being in danger overseas, and how she discovers how much she loves him when she realizes there's a chance she could lose him. And I just love Brendan because he's so much like my son. And so that was a fun book to write, and a cool moment. Um, and I gotta say, Christmas in River's Edge, because I'm so crazy about Gabe, he's
I
got this whole
know.
Indiana Jones vibe going
Yeah.
that just makes, it's just so cool. And I just love him. And Jenny is so, she's becoming strong,
Hmm.
she's out of this bad marriage, and you really hate her husband in the beginning, but you kind of almost think, well, maybe there is some redemption for him as you get toward the end of the book. At least I hope people think so. And I'm kind of thinking about whether or not he can be a hero. I don't know that he can, but it's something to think about.
Yeah, in Joe's book, we get the little scenes with Gabe, and like there's a scene where he's with this, we learn that she's a doctor, but I mean at first we think she's a vamp. And Joe's like, you need to go get your man, and she's like, I have no claims on him, and you're like, oh Jen, like what's going on? So I was so glad. I was like, oh, I'm so glad this is going to be their book, because I have so many questions. And I just imagine Gabe is like this hot nerd. I don't know.
That's exactly what Gabe is. I married one of those, so
Love.
I'm, I'm right there.
Has there been a book so far that you found a little bit more difficult than the others to get through, or have they all just kind of felt pretty easy to write?
They're never easy to write. This one that I'm working on right now, I'm like 8,000 words from finishing it, and I have the story in my head, but you've got to move to it. And I'm having a little bit of trouble moving to it, but I know I'll get there. And these characters they're younger a little bit. She is younger, and so that's been a little harder for me to write. But I've just tried to make her as real as I can. Um, I thought that Alex was a hard character to write, because he was so confident in so many ways, but then the diabetes was just, I didn't know if I could pull that off. I guess,
Mm-hmm.
can I make a hero have an illness like that, something that is chronic, that is with him always? And he just had to be a really compliant diabetic. Like my husband is diabetic, and he's very compliant, and so that was Alex's model. And but for him to say to Joe, "I can't promise you forever," was kind of a different way to go for a hero. So, but they made it work.
And that's what holds him back, because his previous
Hmm.
relationship, she was just kind of
Yeah,
out. Oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so good. It's so good, man. It's
Oh,
so
thank
good.
you. So were you blown away when he went into went into insulin shock? That was
It did. I did. I was like, what? What? But I felt like that moment was needed at the same time. I was like, okay, Nan, I know. I get why you're doing this. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She needed to realize.
She needed it. Yeah,
Hmm.
Joe needed it for sure.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
yeah.
Those two. And she was like more understanding of it than he was expecting?
I, I had such a good time writing her confidence about him coming back.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
she knew he'd be back. And, you know, her sisters would say to her, you know, what are you going to do? You know, and she not only knew he was coming back, she knew she was going with him.
She knew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the opening scene of Christmas in River's Edge, the sisters are together for the last time.
Oh,
And so I'm sorry
oh my gosh.
so get ready.
I'm
Um,
ready. I'm ready.
but you know, that was another thing too, was there was no reality about everybody in the town staying in the town, you
True.
know?
Very true. Yeah.
And so I asked my editor, is it okay if Joe leaves? And she's like, I guess, write it and let's see.
Yeah.
So because there was no reality about her staying in town. He wasn't going to move there. His life and his business and his work and everything were in North Carolina. So
And she was the one that had always stayed. She'd always
yes,
been there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Hmm.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's a good move for Joe. That's a good
Yeah,
move for her.
it
I'm so
is.
excited.
It'll all be
Um,
wonderful.
okay, this is a week of Thanksgiving. Are you
Yes.
excited? Do you do Thanksgiving or what are your plans?
We all go to my sister's house and eat, and we always have a wine tasting before we have dinner. It's so wonderful. Everybody brings a bottle of wine and we cover them up and taste them and pick the one we all love the best. Um, and that's always great fun. You know, the it's a pretty intimate group. My brother lives in California, and so he doesn't come back for Thanksgiving. And I think I told you my other sister's passed, so it's just my sister and I and our husbands and my kids. Her kids all live all over the country, and my daughter-in-law's parents come, and so it's just a little intimate group, and we have such a good time together, and we, you know, taste wine, and then we eat a lot of great food, and then we play games. So it's a lot of fun. We have a good time. And Cameron, my grandson, who's 11, going on 30, um, is he's so much fun and he's such a sweet kid and we all get a kick out of him, and you know, he can sit at that table and have a conversation with any adult. So it'll
I
be
love
fun.
it.
We'll have a good time. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, I we always cook at home and my husband's dad and stepmom come over and his siblings and it's just small family get together,
Mhm.
but I don't know, I love like the cooking and putting everything together and I'm getting a new dining room table.
Oh,
I'm so
nice.
excited. I've had this one since like 2012 and bless her heart, she'd probably last another 10 years, but they've seen better days. So I was like, yeah, it's time. It's been time for like 2 years now. So I'll have that before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I'm
wonderful.
excited. I love this time of year. I really do. And I'm excited to read. Have you been
I'm so
reading
glad you're.
anything good? What have you been editing?
I
Anything
have been
interesting?
editing Tule, wonderful Tule books. I just edited a fabulous mystery by an author named J.C. Kenney. You absolutely have to get him on your podcast because he is wonderful. And Tule only has a couple of guy writers, and J.C. is a new one for them. And he's written cozies for other people. But this isn't cozy so much as it's like humorous Sam Spade type, you know. But the guy who's the hero, his name's Elmo Simpson, and he is not a detective. He's a guy who traps wild animals for a living. You know, like if you get an alligator under, he's in Florida, so if you get an alligator under your house, he'll come and get it out. You know,
Coming to get it. Oh
that's the
wow.
character's job. And but JC just does such a fabulous job. His name's JC Kenney, and the book I ugh, Panic in the Panhandle, I think is the title of the book. I just finished editing it and I was so excited because I thought this is going to go and it's going to be a series. I think there's at least two more Elmo Simpson books. So it's really great. I just finished Lessons in Chemistry, which was extraordinary.
Mhm.
And I'm currently reading The Midnight Library. I just started it, so I don't know, you know,
Okay.
anything about it. But all the Thule books I've done so far have been fabulous. They've just been fabulous. I don't know how Jane finds all these amazing authors. They're great, and there's so many fun Christmas titles coming out. Jane has a new Christmas title, a new Langley Park. Remember the one from last year?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I saw the cover I think for the new one and I was like,
It's
"Where is this Mia?" So
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And so that'll be fantastic. And Sinclair Sane or Sinclair Jane had a new Christmas one come out that's really good. And I think it's the 12th of December. Tule Book Club is having their Christmas party. So you should come.
I need to come. The thing that
Yeah.
I love about Tule too is Tule always gives me a couple of Valentine's Day books, and I really
Yeah.
look forward to those. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I really love Valentine's Day romances.
Aren't they fun? I loved writing the Valentine Wager. That was such a treat.
Yeah,
It was so much
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
That's
They really go for the holidays. They're really into it, and I think that's cool.
I think it is too. I think it
So
is. Okay, so you have a lot coming up.
I
So
do.
Christmas in River's Edge is
Christmas in
next, and
River's Edge.
then the series is over.
Uh, then yeah, and then the new series. The first book is called "Make You Mine," and that's Jack and Maddie's story. Maddie is. Do you remember the guy that married the Lang brothers' mom, Jerry Ross, who owns the
Yes.
hotel? Maddie is his daughter,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
and she comes to town, and her story is kind of cool. And Jack falls head over heels. Old Jack, who doesn't ever let a moment, let anyone get ahead of him for any moment, just drops over dead when he sees her. And so that was really fun to write. And then this one that I'm working on right now is called "Make It Real." I think is the title we picked, and that's Joey's story. And he's a landscaper, and he falls for the people who own the nursery in town. He falls for their granddaughter. So, and she's got a good story too. She's been in England being a landscaper, and now she's come back to River's Edge and helping her grandparents. So, anyway, it's fun. It's fun. I'm having a good time.
Backlist title, there was one that I bought of yours recently. I bought it on Kindle, A Small Town Christmas. Because every now and again, I'll get
Oh
on
yeah,
Tule's website and I'll just like go through like either the small town or the holiday categories. And
yeah.
I'm like, look at all these books Nan has. I don't have yet. A
Oh
Small
my
Town
gosh,
Christmas and
that
Christmas
is
with You. I was like, I need all the Christmas books.
the Small
Um,
Town Christmas is the very first River's Edge book.
yeah, yeah,
So
Four
you get
Irish
to meet
Brothers.
everybody. Yeah, you get to meet everybody in that book.
Oh my gosh, I'm
So,
so ready for this.
oh, well, you are going to have a River's Edge Christmas this week, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm nervous
delighted.
because I'm like, I'm so deep into it. I'm like, is it okay to go back when I like
You bet.
don't know everybody? But I just saw the cover and I was like, I need this book.
I'm so thrilled. It's wonderful. I
uh,
want you to need it.
okay, yeah, I mean, I already bought them, so it is what it
Oh, good.
is.
Great.
Okay, tell everybody where we can keep up with you online.
I am at all the usual places. My website is nanreinhardt.com, and I blog there every Sunday. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I have guests, authors, or, well, usually authors, yeah. Occasionally, sometimes other people, but mostly other authors, and not always all truly authors. Any author who wants to be on my website is welcome to contact me because I love introducing people to new writers and other writers. And so that to me, that's just, that's paying it forward. And I'm on Instagram, Nan Reinhardt. I'm on Facebook, Nan Reinhardt. I'm on Twitter because I'm refused to call it X.
Same,
Um,
same.
Nan Reinhardt. So I'm real easy to find, and I love it when people come see me. I'm delighted. So
Well, thank you for chatting with me today, Nan. It's always such a pleasure.
I love talking with you, Bree. You're so much fun. I feel like we are true kindred spirits.
We are. I think anybody that meets you, it's hard to not be kindred spirits with.
You're so kind. Thank
You're
you.
just so cool. All
I
right.
will. I will tell you this: if you're in the Midwest, if you're in Indiana, I'm going to be signing books in Kokomo, Indiana, with 8 other authors on December 2nd at this place called White Horse Bistro and Winery and Bistro. It's a fabulous place in Kokomo, downtown Kokomo. And then on December 9th, I'm signing books at the Gal's Guide to the Galaxy Library in the Nickel Plate Arts Building in Noblesville, Indiana. So I've got 2 book signings coming up. I'm really excited about meeting people and seeing readers. So
Well, you have to post pictures
I
and
will.
I want to see everything.
You can just go to my website and see it all. So, and plus,
Okay.
I post a lot on Facebook, and you'll see a lot of stuff about the Kokomo signing because there's 9 of us doing it together, and there's an invitator, there's an events page. I'll send you an invitation, and I think there's an events page for the one in Bubblesville too, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yes. Yes. Please do.
we're,
Send them my way.
I will do that.